Good morning, good evening, wherever you are in the world. I am in New Zealand and it's morning, and I have to apologize. I am in a coffee shop and there's a lot of people. I am going to go on a school trip. So, this is just the way grandmas roll, having a TV show and going on a school trip to see a movie, I Robot, with a grandson a little bit later. But today, what an honor to have beautiful Wendy all the way from Australia to come and tell us about her book. We are so excited, my beautiful Wendy. And not only are you on the show today, but and I'm sitting down, I'm not standing, I cannot dance. You are also our illuminated author for November for the Diamond Moment magazine. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Oh, I'm so excited. So I am going to mute myself. But first, before I'm doing that, my beautiful Laura, I'm handing it over to you as host for today so that I can mute myself in between. So, ladies, have an amazing show. And when it's my cue, I will unmute. Thank you, my beautiful Laura.
Thank you, Miss Sinette. For me, the connector of hearts, because what you do is just amazing. And Miss Sinette will come back around and ask her questions. So I'm Laura Brennan Ballet, thought energy expert. And we really have this beautiful opportunity spotlighting these amazing authors all over the world. And Sinette, Krista, myself, and Howard, who is usually here with us. A shout out to Mr. Miracle Man. We all are writers and creators and storytellers. And I just think this is one of the most beautiful, empowering shows out there that Sinette has put together and is really building the community. Like many of us, I'm a speaker all around the globe, proud E360 TV host and co-host of this amazing show. And I really love speaking on energy and empowerment. And so somehow we always weave these questions into the author spotlight. So thank you very much, Wendy, for joining us. I know we're super excited to hear all about your book and the writing process. And now, Miss Krista, also known as Rosebud, take it away.
Thank you so much. So, yes, my name is Krista, but I'm also known as Rosebud because the beautiful Sinette gave me this amazing name. So I had to show up with this. And, this is how our show works. We're, like Laura said, like a family. We want to bring out the best in not only the author, but in each other. And that's what we do. So I made the decision to write a book that made Amazon #1 bestseller. And the title is called Skip the Pain, Experience the Pleasure. And the tagline everybody loves is Cut the Crap That's Holding You Back so you can live the life you love. And I did this because we all go through pain. And I am a speaker. I'm an energy worker in so many different modalities, but I really focus on how we can shift our mindset from a place of being in pain. In pain meaning physical pain, like I have a chronic illness. It could be grief. It could be emotional. It could be financial issues, relationships, really anything from that place of pain to more of a place where you're in a love state or peace or bliss or just peace. And I know, Wendy, after reading your book, you are absolutely perfect for the show, and I cannot wait to get into it with you. So thank you.
Wonderful, wonderful. Miss Sinette, would you like to come in and say anything at this moment about what you do?
Thank you, my beautiful Laura. I am a voice amplifier creating space, and I don't have the way to say space and stages for millions of people around the world to come and share their wisdom, their brilliance, and their beautiful stories that transform other people's life. Somebody said to me the other day, "Yes, Sunit, I understand. Millions, is that your dream?" I said, "Yes, that's my dream." I said, "But surely you're going to take forever to get to a million." I said, "No. In the last 3 years, I have helped people to tell their stories. More than 380,000 people already. So just give me a chance. I will get there." and my dream will be 1 million. And then he said, okay, but when you get to 1 million, what then? I said, then I do 10 million. So, my beautiful Laura, thank you so much for letting me to introduce myself.
Of course, of course. Miss Wendy, please, the floor is yours. Tell us about yourself and your book.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for having me in this space. I really have been looking forward to the opportunity to come on the show and talk a little bit about my third book, actually. So, my name's Wendy Trevarthen. I live in beautiful Brisbane, which is on the east coast, midline Australia. And we're hosting the 2032 Olympics, which people around the world are going, where's Brisbane? Well, you're about to find out. So my third book, I actually have written two other books. My first one is called Midlife Mojo, You're 50, Cut the Crap. The second one is Dear Nurse Me Transitions, which is the first book of the 3-part trilogy, which today I'm talking about Dear Nurse Me Transitions. So I am a retired registered nurse, 36 years, and these last two books are a journey of my nursing career. I'm also a book strategist, and that's how I came to know Krista Rose, so I do that part-time as well. But this third book it's a legacy book, and it's also you come to a stage in your life where you have so much to give from your career. And I felt that writing these books are a way of imparting those gold nuggets and wisdoms. I'm extremely passionate about helping others to thrive, particularly nurses. Nurses are in such a position of providing care for others, and it's really important for them to be able to nurture themselves in those roles. We work very hard at trying to keep everybody healthy as they can, or support them through their trajectory of disease, illness, treatment, and beyond. And not only the clients or patients, but also their families. But the first thing, the number one thing, is that they need to look after themselves. And I certainly have transitioned through many phases, as you have read in my book, in my nursing career, to be able to transition myself to a place where I feel fulfilled, happy, and be able to give back to my community. Contribution and purpose is a wonderful thing.
Beautiful. Oh, I'm sure I can already feel we all have questions, but then when you begin your spotlight conversation with us, there's already questions coming off of that. So I love this. When I was first reading the book, the very first thought that came to me is, did she want to be a coach somewhere in her life? And then, of course, as you read through the book, you understand that you are a nurse career coach, which I love. But you have this very unique way of empowering the reader, not just around nursing, but for me, anyone can pick this book up. And yes, I think it absolutely lends itself so beautifully to the environment of nursing on many aspects of it. But you can read this book almost from any observation point and garner so much wisdom from it. So would you maybe share a little bit with the listening audience about that mindset that helped create this book, but absolutely transcends nursing as well?
I think the mindset throughout all of the books, and particularly this one, is a mindset of positivity and always looking for an opportunity there that you can help others. You're absolutely right. I wrote this book from a nurse's eyes, but definitely from other professions, other careers. There are takeaway messages there for the wider audience. But talking about the mindset, and this is one of the things that has held me to travel through different aspects in my life, is to always look for the positivity in things, to always look for the opportunities for kindness, to always look for, instead of going with the resistance that's in front of you, the opportunity to navigate your way around those obstacles. Because on the other side of that is where the magic happens. It's when you travel around that, you navigate your way through these challenges, that you find the strengths in your own personality and the opportunities that lie beyond that. Like, I didn't realize 2.5 years ago that I would retire from nursing until the opportunities presented themselves to me, where I found that I was entering into a space that took the vision out wider. That rather than being in a tunneled vision, that I could actually see the wider frame that was in front of me, and the opportunity to have that profound ripple effect by becoming an author, by becoming a coach, to be able to enable others to thrive. That's my motto. I want to be an enabler of others to actually see themselves around the other side of that obstacle.
And again, what I think it's just for the listeners, it can, and you use this word, ignite enthusiasm, and it can, no matter where you are in your, present vocation, and even in your present mindset. And I too write about this in the Science of Empowerment, that no matter your present condition, you can expand your mindset, your energy, your perspective, and look at what you're doing. And I love the book. I love kind of that flow through it. And I think as writers, and maybe people out in the world that are really interested in telling a story, not just what they've done, but who they've become through that process. And I think you've done this so beautifully when you talk about positivity, but there's so much heart energy in what you do. And that's really what I picked up on. So thank you, Wendy. Thank you. Miss Krista Rose.
I absolutely love the way we can all pick up on each other's energy, because Laura, you kind of wrapped your question around what I was going to, so I'll shift off a little bit. I'm going to go through your title. So your tagline that we didn't say was navigating change, nurturing well-being. The second part, nurturing well-being. Can you tell the audience and tell us a little bit what that means to you, and how can we do that?
So through the book, it comes very clearly that I've, with a health background and a wellness coaching background, that the underlying theme is to nurture that place of well-being for yourself. The first part of the book, I go through talking about recognizing that you may be in a situation of overwhelm. And I can hear people saying, that when you're actually in the thick of things, you take your blinkers off. You don't actually see what's happening or recognizing what's happening to your own body, because you're so busy going to the next task and the next task, treading water, trying to keep things going. But the nurturing your own well-being is to take a step back and to be able to observe what's actually happening, which is what I did. And I explain that quite, in quite a lot of detail in the book of what had happened to me. But to nurture your well-being. And you notice I'm not saying nurture your own health, nurture your physical, nurture your one thing. I'm actually encompassing, well-being, because we're all beings. We want to be in a place where we feel most safe, most comfortable, to be able to give our best to whatever our purpose and contribution is. So, navigating change, yes, that's a step by step, and I do the step by step, but along the way is to nurture, your own well-being towards that change. Yeah.
Yeah, that specific 2 words really caught me, because I hear so many people say, I'm so overwhelmed. I'm so overwhelmed because of ABC. And really, when it comes down to it, is they're not taking care of themselves. And again, what you said, it's not necessarily just physically or mentally or emotionally, it's everything about that. And, you put it just beautifully. So thank you so much. That was brilliant.
Mm-hmm. Miss Sinette?
So, first of all, Wendy, I want to say thank you so much for all the things that you are doing, for being a nurse for so many years, for helping others. Our beautiful miracle man, is there's people that is taking care of him at the moment, and I promise myself that I'm not gonna cry, and they are taking care of him so beautifully, and we are so thankful, especially in COVID time. So many nurses and health professionals didn't even consider about their body and take care of themselves. They took care of so many others. So I just wanted to say, in America, when I was there, a lot of people say thank you for your service to the service, the army people. I'm not too sure how you call it, but I want to say thank you for your service, and thank you to all the service for all the health professionals out there. Without you, we will not be here where we are. So thank you so much. My question for nurses who may feel uncertain about their career path, what would you say is the first step towards finding clarity and purpose in their profession?
Yes. First of all, explore yourself. Find out and do a bit of self or an introspection, we call it, on, what are your core values? What are your strengths? Because sometimes, and this, what I've seen over the years is nursing has changed. Everything's changed. When I started nursing, out of a group of 18 students, there were 18 nurses that were going to be born, and they were wanting to be this nurturing profession to care for others. Later in my career, when I was taking students, I would say out of my group of 8, and this is an average, there would be 3 amongst that 8 that hand over heart were wanting to be in the nursing professions. The others were, it's a job. It's something that I could do at university. It's going to pay my way towards something else. So my message there is that nursing has changed over the years to different meanings for people. So I would actually encourage everyone to really sort of identify what their key strengths are, what their values are, and align their pathway along that. So in the book, there's a couple of links and activities there for the reader to be able to explore that, because until you do that exercise, you don't actually know what your attributes are, and is nursing the best area for you? It may not be. It might be information technology. It might be being a researcher. It might be veterinary science. So I think, for the benefit of the longevity of your career, to get that right from the beginning is really important. And, there is a global shortage of nurses. There's no denying, but has that actually pushed the world to, people considering nursing for other reasons as a stepping stone? And there's nothing wrong with that if it's a stepping stone towards something. But what I find and I feel is missing is those nurses that are working with their hand over heart, that's where they want to be for the longevity of the profession. Yeah.
Wow, thank you. And also, from my point of view, not being a nurse or in that profession, it opened my eyes to so many possibilities that I didn't even consider, how that I had to go through a lot of things to do what I are doing. So thank you so much for your amazing book, my beautiful Wendy. All over to you, Krista.
Oh, actually, I'm going to hop up, Krista, if that's
Sure.
okay, Miss Sinette. Yeah, so we can just kind of keep our rhythm going there. Thank you, Miss Sinette. Wendy, as you were just talking, this is all close to my heart. I was a candy striper. That's what they call like 14-year-old girls back in the States. And we used to wear little pink and white striped uniforms. And it was for those of us that really felt we wanted to be a nurse. And I did it for 2 years and I loved it. And we volunteered in the hospital. We would bring food and the trays. And it was just a wonderful experience. And then life took over. My daughter was getting ready to head into nursing school. And then she kind of hit, a wall. And then she went in for another degree. And now she's training to be a rad tech into radiology. But I love, and I have 2 nieces that are phenomenal in this, but they both, or all 3 of them, had different reasons for going in to nursing. And I love how you say this hand on heart. because both of my nieces were affected. Their mother passed away at a very young age, and it really affected them. And so their reasoning was for just hand on heart. It really was. And then when my daughter was thinking, there was a group of girls that really thought it was like a great, right, career, and that you can maybe move around that. You wrote something in the book that I love. Basically, nursing is for 30 years, when in reality, it's been a nurse for 1 year, 30 times over. I thought this was one of the most unique moments of writing that I've seen in books. I don't think any of us quite understand what that means. And it gave such an empowered perspective on, yes, there's continuity, but 30 times over, it's almost a different person showing up as a nurse because so much in this industry changes. Can you maybe offer a little bit of insight around that moment of writing?
Well, firstly, I can't take the credit for that line because it actually came from the gentleman that wrote the foreword for the book, who's a
Yeah.
senior lecturer at a university, John Rosenberg. But it is so true because of the evolution of healthcare. Every year that something comes out, there's something new to learn. And nursing trajectory is what you learnt in your basic training is the foundations. What you learn all the way through is, to progress your knowledge and your experience to be able to deliver the best of care and what the evidence is telling us, the best of care at that point in time. And if you view it as every year to be setting new goals, new opportunities, exploring new pathways, that's why he's written that. It's because you don't keep the same thoughts. You actually grow as you are working through your nursing career and as you move towards different pathways. So you may start as a bedside nurse, but then you may grow with your experience and expertise and really niche down into a specific area and become an expert in that field. So that's why he's written that it's one year so many times over that you continue to grow and expand, which is a beauty of nursing. Gives you so many opportunities to be able to do that. It's a wonderful profession. It can take you anywhere. It can take you around the world. They're transferable skills. There's countries that work together with their registrations and they're recognized internationally, that you can work in different countries. Wonderful profession.
I love that answer. And yes, I thought it was such an empowering statement, because the one thing I mentioned at the beginning of the show, which I really love about the flow of how you wrote this book, is we may think, oh, a book about nurses or a book on nursing. And no, this is a life book. There is, and that statement there made me think that if we all looked at each year as a brand new year with this right open perspective, this really expansive mindset, how different our experiences would be within our jobs or certainly within our careers. And maybe we would find a bit more happiness in the day-to-day outplay of that. So I really love that. Thank you so much. Thank you. Miss Krista.
So, yeah. So, first of all, I do also want to thank you for a couple reasons for not only representing the nurses, writing this book, but the book definitely can go through so many different professions, as well as people who work in their home. So, stay at home, mothers or fathers as well. But I'm going to talk to you a little bit about two hats that I wore. The first hat I want to talk to you about when I was a patient. So I was a patient on and off for about 3 years in the hospital. And as you were talking, it brought me back to, I'm going to talk about one small event, how nursing can specifically change the way my whole experience was. So this one particular time, a nurse came up to me and said, okay, Krista, here we're going to, and just started spewing off a whole bunch of random tests that I had no idea what we're talking about, and they weren't making eye contact with me, and they just kind of came and they just pushed me literally in the middle of the hallway, waiting for a porter to come get me, and walked away. And as she walked away, she says, and this is why I left the ER, because it's easier to babysit the people around here.
Mm.
And so then we'll say about a week later, similar type of episode, I was moved a little bit to a different area of the hospital, neurology. And not that it matters what area, but just showing you a different approach. A nurse came in and introduced himself. First of all, they have a name. They're not just a nurse. They have a name. She looked me in the eye and told me a couple of the procedures, asked me, some questions. She asked me, "Are you afraid?" And those simple words, the simple different tone of how she spoke to me and how she looked at me changed that whole experience again. And from feeling like a burden to feeling like I am going to get better and someone believes in me and I'm going to help them. And then shift my hat a little bit to I worked in a leadership position in a hospital. I'm a nutritionist by trade, and I worked with a team with doctors and nurses and everybody, and we would do rounds. And there's this one particular part in the book that I do agree with, but I'm going to challenge you a little bit. You're talking about how often nurses don't get credit enough for what they do on a daily basis. Maybe the bigger milestones, but they don't hear enough feedback. I totally agree with that. But one thing, the statement was a lot of the feedback is when they're in improve mode. And I totally understand the improve mode, which could have a negative connotation, meaning if you do this, we can, improve, instead of being told, wow, what you're doing well. Having said that, looking at my personal experience as a patient, I think from the feedback I gave as a patient, because I did fill out a survey, I think that would have been relevant to share with the nurses and every caretaker as part of the improve mode. So can you give us a little bit of how you decided to put that into the book and, kind of the flow and what your thought is?
Yeah, firstly, like you shared a story there of how important it is to connect. And I just think that's basic humanity. And secondly, the first nurse that you encountered, she's probably a nurse that needs, nurturing.
Yeah.
She's not in a place where she's functioning at her best. And the backstory of that would be interesting to unravel, firstly, and, connection with that nurse, spending time with that nurse would be an investment in her future career. That's the first thing I'd like to say. With regards to my comments around that improvement, I talked a little bit before about the evolution of nursing. What I've seen is when you're improving healthcare, I'm going to talk broadly about healthcare, there are a lot of opportunities for us to find ways to improve what we're doing. My passage of writing regarding that was, I think that has overtaken the connection, that we're looking for things to improve rather than going back to the basics of connecting. We're looking at check boxes. We're looking at opportunities to advance our career, to find something in your workplace so you can get brownie points to get that leadership role, to move up the ladder, to the detriment of giving that basic connection to the clients. That's what that passage of writing was all about. That, don't be blinded by the perception that you need to be finding these gaps. The gaps are already there. They can be eliminated by providing that connection with the patients and their families and each other of the nurses supporting each other. Like I've just taken 2 minutes now, to pause, to talk. If we actually put that at the foundation of everything that we do and give people the time and the respect, a lot of those improvements may not be necessary.
Yeah, that is, and that's kind of where I was going with that.
Yes.
One thing that the team that I was part of was going to the frontline nurses and saying, okay, we see how heavy your workload is, but yet you're still able to get through it. Are you getting your breaks in? Or what is it that we can help you with to be able to maybe get that connection? Maybe that nurse wasn't able to because she didn't sit down for, I don't know, let's say 12 hours, and I don't think I'm really exaggerating. It may be of that. So taking that time to really build that connection, not only for the patient to the nurse and the nurse to the patient, but also for the whole team, the whole leadership, to look at the frontline people and say, what is it that you do that can make this whole experience better? And you nailed it. So I know by writing that is going to change many, many people's perspectives and many people's lives. So
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
That's all right. Thank you for those comments and to picking that up, because obviously working and being a patient, you've actually seen both sides of that. And at the beginning of the book, I actually write, in the introduction, I say, this is a warts and all book. I'm not, our caring profession is a very caring profession, but these, I'm highlighting areas where nurses and other professions can actually reflect on their own practice, that they can go, oh my goodness, that's actually me at a certain point. I really need to kind of, address that so that I can improve what I'm doing. Yes. Yeah.
I wish I had like 20 of your books when I was a patient, and I could have just handed them over, because, and I really want to encourage the viewers right now who are watching, don't just buy this book because, maybe a nurse. Buy this for Christmas presents for people who are in any type of profession who maybe want to look at exploring other ways. So I just wanted to kind of give you a shout out for that.
Beautiful. Yeah. Thank you.
Miss Sinette, would you like to ask a question?
Thank you so much. I must just say, I had my first flirt in a Starbucks ever. It was the strangest thing ever. I just smiled and blow the guy a kiss. That's all I could do. I never experienced something like that. But anyway, my question is, in your experience as a
Yeah, we have to wait. We have to honor that for a moment.
Flirting wherever you are, any country, at any age.
Oh, that's fabulous.
Oh my goodness, thank you so much, my beautiful ladies. My beautiful Wendy, in your experience as a wellness coach and author, what are some strategies you recommend for cultivating resilience among high stress situations? And I had a high situation. Not only after he flirted with me, I smiled at him, and then my whole camera went off, everything went down, and I thought, "Oh, that's the universe telling me I'm married, but I didn't do something wrong."
Oh,
Really?
So a high stress situation can put you in a daze, as Sinette's just described. And your body puts you in a daze for a reason. It's giving you a pause or a reset. So that's a really good analogy of what you can actually do is maybe go off air for 2 or 3 minutes and gather yourself to be able to reflect on that. And of course, if it's an emergent situation, you have to do something about it immediately. But the universe can wait for 2 or 3 minutes until it catches up with you, and you can take that pause and reflection on what's going on. A lot of healthcare or emergency services, they perform at that level all day, constantly. And I think the most important thing is at the end of the shift, and I'll let you in on a secret. I have never, ever, ever worked a double shift as a nurse.
Wow.
Never.
Wow.
Because I have very strong boundaries. I have said to a manager that has come to me, Wendy, could you mind working a double shift? Can you do the early to late or whatever? And I said, look, I understand, but I can give you another 2 hours of my time for you to be able to do your work to find a replacement.
Yeah.
Boundaries, strong boundaries. That's the number one thing that I would say. And I can hear people saying, oh, but there is nobody. Hogwash. Hogwash. There are people out there that will be able to do that. It may not be the best staff, or it may be, do you know what I mean? But nurses need to look after other nurses. Health professionals need to look after other health professionals. We are all a team. So, yeah, I'm very proud of that, actually, of staying firm on my boundaries. And that's the number one thing I would say as working in healthcare professions, is to have really strong boundaries around that.
Oh, I love that. Thank you so much. Not only there, but everywhere in your life. If you can set some boundaries to make sure that you know what it's best for you as well. I must just say, our little one is crying a lot, and they had to change his milk formula now twice because of his sensitive stomach. And tomorrow he will be 1 month old. But he was crying a lot, and I was so scared holding him, and he's almost like his breath is I was waiting for him to start breathing again, and I just pray, please breathe. I was so stressed, and I had children before, but it's a different story. So I cannot even imagine being in that stressful situation all the time. So thank you so much for that, Wendy. Laura?
Yeah, I love, again, the empowerment of boundaries. And I know there are listeners out there will be like, well, I don't have a good boss or a great working environment. But this is where leadership, self leadership, can really be born when you show up as that example that, all right, I need these boundaries, and I am certain I am not the only one. So can we begin to create meetings and check-in points? And, I just think it's a wonderful way to let people know that you do not have to take that no for an answer, that you hold steady into that boundaries, create that leadership, and really maybe create something that never existed before. Because I have a lot of friends that are nurses, cousins that are nurses. Two of my best friends are doctors, and their wives are nurses. And I've never heard of anyone not working a double, and sometimes even beyond. So kudos to you. Again, I think this is an empowering way to let people know, broaden your perspectives, stand up for what well-being and self-care can mean, especially in an environment where self-care comes first so you can care for others. So I'm going to just mention that you have another kind of few words in the book that I love, becoming a free thinker. I love that. And now I understand why you wrote that a bit. But I'm going to run our speed round at the moment. I think this is right about the time to run it. So I'm going to give you 5 words and just share a very brief kind of instinctual thought process that comes from these words. Okay. I love how she just kind of got all prepped for that.
I'm getting ready.
Okay. Empowerment.
You.
Oh,
Comes from you.
yeah. And did you hear that energy that came out of it? Not even a thought. You. And I love this. Empower yourself. And then we get to empower others. Beautiful. Coach.
Nurture.
I love this. One of my favorite words, I have chapters in my book. I speak about this all over the world because without it, we don't have humanness. Connectivity.
Oh, my goodness. Heartfelt. I'm going to put my hand on my heart again. Heartfelt, because this is where we do connect, having that eye connection, having that body connection, having that space between two people. Yeah.
Yeah. excuse the glasses while I carry on, but I think connectivity is just one of the most important,
Yes.
empowering and beautiful gifts we can give to ourselves and each other.
And for those that are wondering why I've got pineapple glasses, I live in Queensland. We have lots of pineapples growing in Queensland. So that's for
I
the
love it.
Queensland,
And
Australia.
that's so fitting for you, Wendy, because pineapples represent hospitality when you go
Yes.
way back into the lineage. So, how beautiful. All right. My next word is non judgment.
Kindness
Mm,
and respect. That's my second word that comes to mind. I tell my twin granddaughters, kindness wins every time. And underneath that is respect for others.
mm.
So, yeah.
And I think when you using that word or applying that word kindness, when we are in a state of kindness, we don't judge,
That's,
right? We
yes.
just don't judge. All right. And the last word, which I loved, this is something that you presented in your book through your writing process, collaboration.
Yes. Teamwork. We're all a part of a big team. We're all a part of a small team. We're all a part of our own team. Collaboration. Yes.
Beautiful. I love those answers. I think they really, again, can empower the listening audience, and it's important. And I love the speed round. And thank you, Mr. Shining Brightly, our miracle man, for allowing me a moment to step in his very big, amazing shoes. But thank you, Wendy. Again, I think when people hear these very kind of succinct and thoughtful but instinctual answers, it allows us to realize the limitations we place on ourselves are really just self-induced blocks. And the minute you hear an author speak those, we realize like we can think greater than we feel in the moment, and we really can expand. So beautiful. Thank you. Miss
Can
Krista Rose. Oh,
Sorry,
go ahead, please.
can I just comment? Yeah, you started that with the free thinker
Yeah.
kind of passage, and I don't know about you, Krista, but when you're working as a profession, you're trained to be able to write clinically, evidence based, very structured, very prescribed way of writing. Free thinking came with my first book, and that was liberating to be able to write on the paper your golden nuggets. Gave me a sense of being a free thinker and giving myself permission to be able to author a book. So it was a different style of writing, and it felt like the shackles were taken off. Having said that, I write with integrity. So you write out of respect for others. But, it's just interesting that you picked up that, Laura, about, free thinking. I think it's a creative thing that we can actually write and be a free thinker. Yeah.
And what a beautiful, thank you for sharing that, because again, it allows the listening audience, and no matter what profession or where we are, that we can break free from that kind of prescribed way of being, right? And even though the boundaries are important, sometimes it's free to maybe jump up and over those self-induced boundaries, and look what it created. And allowing your expression to come out with that, I think with that very formal, right, structured educational teaching, which is so important to your environment. But then you merged it so beautifully with this free thinking energy that I picked up on through the book. And what a beautiful alchemy. And thank you. I think it's a great example for how we can unlimit ourselves from the limitations.
I
Thank you.
just want to kind of jump in because when Wendy, when you said, I think it was your second book, and you use the word "cut the crap." Can you ever imagine documenting something like that? So me coming from very, very, very clinical. I mean, it was called DARV, a very set way of how to write and use the words. It was almost robotic. Almost, I mean, I think we can copy and paste things, and how we would speak to, other professions. And then when we were able to take off, like you said, those shackles and really speak. And that brings me to gets my point, if we don't have time for the question, but you made an amazing point that this is one of my keynote speeches about is the power of your word, how we speak, not only to each other, but how we speak to ourselves. And, if we say, for instance, for me, it's, if I left some dishes in the sink, oh my goodness, are people going to think I'm a slob? I think within, your profession is the stress and the amount of connection and the amount of work you have to do. You have to tell yourself you are doing a good job. You have to celebrate your own wins. And you brought that up. And I just thought that was so, so beautiful.
Thank you, Wendy. Miss Sinette?
Thank you, my beautiful Wendy. I've got one last question before our show will wrap up. How will you inspire, or what was the one sentence you will give to anyone that would love to write a book?
Just do it. Don't hold back. I believe everyone has a book inside them, and putting pen to paper just takes 10 minutes of your time. That's the beginning of your book. Your thoughts, write them down. Just by writing them down is going to help you immensely. You can decide later whether it's going to go in your book or not, but just writing things down helps tremendously with the monkey mind, the busyness, whatever thoughts are coming. And it's very personal. Like, I have my journal here. I journal every morning. I write down pieces, and together, that can be put into a book. So my key advice is to just do it.
I love that. That was one of the things I've teach my grandchildren. My grandson Zander, he wants to write a book as well, and he's very eager. And he showed me exactly what he wanted in his book, and then I said to him, "Okay, my beautiful one, now on this page, what is the lessons learned?" He said to me, "Wow, Omi, you are the cleverest Omi alive."
Oh my
Oh wow!
God.
So, my beautiful Laura, you can continue, and then we will almost finish about 3 minutes, and then I will wrap up for us. Thank you.
Okay, wonderful, wonderful. So, Wendy, I'd like to just offer the spotlight in the remaining few minutes for you to share any thoughts, your experience as being in the spotlight, your nursing, your connectivity, being a free thinker, anything that you just feel from your heart that you would like to share with the listening audience.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity. So, this book, as you've heard, is something that's very heartfelt for me. And this being my third book, and you learn as you go about getting the message into your book. And this book, I'm probably the proudest of the three, because it's accumulated a lot of experience in there. My words of wisdom are around finding you in amongst your busy life, finding and connecting with you, your soul purpose, your contribution, where you want to go. And if that is, in the profession that you are in, then go that next level, become the expert in your field, seek the opportunities that you have, and be able to have that ripple effect to, give that contribution to others. If you're not happy in your field, then explore other avenues that you may be able to find yourself in a better place. And this is what I do. So, and specifically for nurses, like going through that selection criteria and that job interview and then coming out the other side, it's a harrowing experience. And that's the core of what I do for nurses. I'm excited to say that next year I'll be starting a podcast. So I'm wanting to open this up for nurses to be able to come on to not a visual, but to an audible, so that nurses can actually come in there and talk about their heartfelt moments, to talk about what's happening with them without fear of retribution or etc. So they can come on anonymously. So I'm very excited about doing that for next year. And I invite the nurses out there to approach me to be able to participate in that for next year. I'm really excited about doing that. I want to say immense gratitude to Sinette. Like, I met Sinette 12 months ago now through a mutual person. And, what you're creating with this global community of empowering people is just phenomenal. And what I've seen, this has snowballed into the opportunity. I mean, look at you. You're in so many countries around the world, and it gives a platform for so many people to be able to speak their heartfelt stories, to be able to have those heartfelt contributions, conversations, connection we've talked about today with each other. And that's just beautiful. And we live in a world where we really just want to protect our patch. What you've done is you've opened this up for other people to be able to come into your world, for you to be able to share your beauty and your connection with the global audience. So that's just phenomenal. I'm going to say, the tagline that Krista spent some time in. I really am passionate about people nurturing their own well-being. And I think that is just so important for everyone, no matter what spectrum you're on with your health condition, with what's happening in your emotional life. Nurturing yourself is paramount to your own sense of safety and sense of well-being. So thank you.
Bravo, Wendy. Thank you. Thank you. Yes. Beautiful. Beautiful. Miss Annette?
Thank you, my beautiful Laura, for being our host today. I really appreciate you. Thank you, my beautiful Rosebud, for all your questions and your heart, and you, Laura. And then before I say thank you to Wendy, I have to come here in the camera and say, my beautiful miracle man, we love you from the bottom of our hearts.
Yeah.
Please take care of you. Love
Yeah.
you. My beautiful Wendy, thank you for being an amazing person. Thank you for being in my life. And I have an important question for you. Are you ready?
Yes.
Will you have a dance with us?
Yes.
My beautiful viewers on E360, will you have a dance with us? They said yes. They said yes. Here we go.
Walking on sunshine or dancing in the rain. Sprinkle me with fairy dust so I can fly away. Smiling at a moonbeam or squinting in the sun. Sprinkle me with fairy dust and cover me with love. From butterflies to eagles.
Bye, everyone.
There's
Bye.
magic in that